Hello, this is Deanne from Small But Kind of Mighty, and this video is being made in response to a request for guidance reading both written patterns and crochet charts. By the end of this video, you will know how to crochet a single colour granny square and how to read both the written crochet pattern and the charted pattern for that square. Step 1 is to download my free beginner crochet package. So let me quickly show you how to do that. Note that the link to the free download and all the other videos and resources mentioned in this video can be found in the description box below. The link will take you directly to the beginner crochet package, where you just click Add to Cart. You'll be asked to log in if you're already a customer at Small But Kind of Mighty. If you're new to my store, then you will be asked to create an account. This is because if I make any updates to the package or any other patterns you get from my store, then because I have your email address, you will be sent the updates automatically. If the only item in your cart is the beginner crochet package, then you will get the message that your order is free and no payment is required, and then you will get an email notification with your link to download your free beginner crochet package. Going to pour myself a cup of tea while you download your beginner crochet package, then we can review the general pattern information. And just in case you have a tough time keeping track of things, I will put links to all the resources mentioned here in the beginner crochet package itself. If you purchase a pattern and it fails to outline all of the things I'm showing you, then I'd recommend contacting the designer and asking them to update or modify the pattern. If you're using a free pattern, you're pretty much on your own, unfortunately. The pattern should make clear which terminology is being used. I usually state this in the pattern listing, but now I'm also adding it to the actual patterns themselves to make sure there's no misunderstanding. One of the links I'm going to add to the beginner crochet package is a UK-US translation guide, so you will have that for your reference. The pattern should clearly state up front everything you need to make the project. Because the US sizes their crochet hooks differently to everyone else, I've included a link to a conversion chart in the beginner crochet package. A list of any abbreviations used in the pattern should be included. I use the Craft Yarn Council's master list, and I will put a link to that list in the resource section of the beginner crochet package. The beginner crochet package is one I provide at my beginner crochet in-person workshop. So we start with a slip knot, learning how to chain, and then working single crochet in rows. If that's about your speed or you'd like a refresher, then I'd recommend starting with these two videos first. A couple of other links that I'm going to put in the package which you may find useful. One is to an article on how to read a crochet pattern, and the other is the Craft Yarn Council's guide to crochet chart symbols. As I mentioned, we usually start with learning how to crochet a single crochet square. So the beginner crochet package includes both the written pattern and chart for the single crochet square. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You just chain 21 and then work 20 rows of 20 stitches of single crochet. Looking at the chart, the ovals represent a chain stitch and the plus sign represents a single crochet stitch. You read the chart in the exact same way as you crocheted the square. You start at the bottom left. There are 20 ovals for 20 chain stitches. The 21st oval is here, that's your turning chain. You then work from right to left and do 20 single crochets in each chain stitch, and continue working left to right, right to left until the end, which is at the top right. Just so we're on the same page, a granny square is a square, but it's worked in the round using a combination of chains and double crochet. Traditionally, it is 4 rounds in size, with each round being made in a different colour. Changing colours every round is a bit much for beginners, which is why I start them off with a single colour granny square. The granny square walkthrough is coming right up. Can you let me know in the comments though, would you find a yarn explainer video helpful? It would cover things like yarn weights, terminology, what is a skein versus what is a hank of yarn, for example, and the different fibres and what are the pros and cons of each. Let's walk through together round 1. And after we've completed round 1, we can take a look at the written and charted patterns for that round. We're going to start by chaining 6 and then joining the first and the 6th chains together with a slip stitch. Slip stitches are an important part of a successful granny square. To make one, insert your hook and then yarn over, pull the loop through both the stitch and the loop on your hook, and you now have your 6 chain stitches in a ring. In the majority of crochet projects, we insert our hook and make a stitch in the top or head of another stitch. When making a granny square, we insert our hook and make a stitch in chain spaces. For round 1, we're going to insert our hook and make all our double crochets in this ring. First, however, we're going to chain 6. We're going to chain 2, then I'm going to hold on to the second chain and ensure that the third chain is nice and big and loose so it's easy to work into later. I'm then going to mark that third chain with a locking stitch marker. I'm going to work another 3 chain stitches, and then I'm ready to start doing double crochets into that ring. To do a double crochet, I yarn over, insert my hook through the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop through the ring, and now I've got 3 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and that's my first double crochet. Now I'm going to make 2 more double crochets in the ring, and that will create my first cluster of 3 double crochets. This is the cornerstone of a granny square. After making my first cluster of 3 double crochets, I chain 3 to create a corner. All of this will start to make more sense once we've finished round 1 and you see the shape of the square emerging. After that chain 3, I start another cluster of 3 double crochets, all again made within that ring. After creating the second cluster of 3 double crochets, I'm going to chain 3 to create the next corner space. If you guessed that after the chain 3 I would then do another cluster of 3 double crochets working in the ring, then you would be correct. Our goal is to create a square with 4 clusters as the sides and 4 chain 3 spaces as the corners. I'm going to then chain 3 to create our last corner space. Then let's take a quick look before we start on our next cluster. That chain 3 that we made right at the beginning of the round and that we put the locking stitch marker in, that's going to act as the last double crochet in our last cluster of 3 double crochets. So as you can see, I'm making 2 double crochets in the ring. Then I'm going to remove that locking stitch marker and join the 2 double crochets to the initial chain 3 with a slip stitch. To make the slip stitch, I insert my hook into the top of the chain 3, which I ensured was nice and loose so it would be easy to work into at the end of the round. I then yarn over, pull the yarn through the stitch and through the loop on my hook. Let's take another look at round 1 and compare how it looks to the instructions in the written and charted patterns. The written pattern starts out, make a slip knot, chain 6 and join to first chain with a slip stitch, forming a ring. If we look at the chart, you'll see that there are the ovals, which again represent chain stitches. The T with a cross through it represents the double crochet stitch, and the dot represents a slip stitch. Taking a closer look at the chart, the 6 ovals in the middle represent the 6 chain stitches that we've started with, and the black dot is the slip stitch we used to join the chain stitches, forming a ring. Round 1 is shown here in the chart in blue. Remember when we looked at the single crochet square chart, I mentioned that the chart mirrors the way the fabric is made and how the fabric looks when it's finished. This is true as well of the granny square chart. Instead of the stitches being shown in rows, they're shown in circular rounds. The rounds end up looking like the fabric we are creating. Let's compare the beginning of round 1 in the written pattern and how it looks in the chart. The written pattern states chain 6. This counts as a beginning chain 3 and the first corner or chain 3 space. Mark the 3rd chain, then 3 double crochet in the ring and chain 3. That's a really long-winded way of explaining the start of round 1. The chart, in contrast, is a visual representation of how round 1 is not only made, but how it looks at the end, what you're working towards. Those 3 blue ovals at the start remind you that not only are they your starting chain 3, but that starting chain 3 is going to be the last DC in your cluster of 3 double crochets at the end of the round. Your initial chain 3 is followed by another 3 chains, which are your first corner. You then start the repeats of a cluster of 3 double crochets made into the ring, followed by 3 chains which create a corner space. So in total, you do a cluster of 3 double crochets followed by a chain 3 corner space 3 times. Once you've made your last chain 3 corner space, you then do 2 2 double crochets into the ring and attach them to your starting chain 3 with a slip stitch. And that slip stitch is represented in the chart by the blue dot shown at the end of round 1. Time for a quick break before round 2, I reckon. We always start the beginning of the subsequent rounds by slip stitching into the corner chain 3 space. The reason for this is, remember at the end of round 1 we worked 2 double crochet in front of our starting chain 3 space and then joined them together to make a cluster. Well, in order to do the same thing for subsequent rounds, we have to travel with our yarn into that chain 3 corner space, and the way we do that is by slip stitching into the space. Once we've done that, we start with our usual chain 3 and make sure that the third chain is nice and loose, and mark it with a locking stitch marker. Then we do another chain 3 to create our first corner space. Now, in the exact same first corner space that we've just done our chain stitches from, we're going to work 3 double crochets by inserting our hook in the chain space. So insert a hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do 2 more in that exact same space. We've now created most of our first corner. We are going to finish that off at the end of round 2. Now we are going to jump across to the next chain 3 corner space simply by making a chain 1. And then in the corner we will make our corner repeat, which is a cluster of 3 double crochets followed by a chain 3 to make a new corner space and another cluster of 3 double crochets. That's all made in that same chain 3 corner space, and all of our subsequent corners will all be made this way: 3 double crochet, chain 3 to create a corner space, 3 double crochet. Our round 2 repeat is going to be chain 1 to get across to the next chain 3 corner space, and in that chain 3 corner space we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Once you've done your final corner space, you chain 1 and then do 2 double crochets in the chain 3 corner space right before your initial chain 3 that started the round. Once you've done those 2 double crochets, then you will join those to your chain 3 with a slip stitch. Next, I'm going to show you, for the new things that we did in round 2, what those new things look like in the pattern instructions. At the beginning of round 2, the first thing we had to do was slip stitch into the chain 3 corner space. In the written pattern, it basically just says that. For the crochet chart, note that round 2 was in blue and round 3 is in black. You will see that there is a black dot right where you are supposed to make your slip stitch into the chain 3 corner space. The other thing that's new about round 2 is the introduction of our pattern repeat. In the written pattern, what you will see is single asterisk. That is the indication that a pattern repeat is starting. Chain 1. In next chain 3 space, now there's square brackets, and inside the square brackets are the instructions for our corner. 3DC, chain 3, 3DC. The square brackets are then closed, and there's a double asterisk which indicates that the repeat is ending. You then get the instruction repeat from single to double asterisk twice. The visual representation of this in the chart is, to my mind, a lot simpler. You've got the oval for the chain 1, and then for the corner, the 3DC, chain 3, 3DC are all shown as being made within the chain 3 space that is blue, so we know that that was the one made in round 1. All I've really got to show you in round 3 is how the sides of your granny square will get bigger with each round you make. You will start this round and every subsequent round in exactly the same way. Slip stitch into that chain 3 space, then chain 3 marking the 3rd chain, make another chain 3, and then do a cluster of 3 double crochets in the same corner space. Next, you will chain 1 to jump across the cluster of 3 double crochets from the previous round. After that cluster, you'll find a chain 1 space, and into that chain 1 space you will make 3 double crochets. Once those double crochets are completed, you will chain 1 to get to the chain 3 corner space. Once you've completed round 3, round 4 and all the subsequent rounds will be exactly the same as round 3. The only difference is that the sides get bigger. You only have 3 options. If you're facing a cluster of 3 double crochets, then chain 1 to jump across the cluster. If you're faced with a chain 1 space, then make 3 double crochets inside that chain 1 space. If you're faced with a chain 3 corner space, then make another corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. When you've completed your granny square, I recommend edging it if you're joining the squares together to make a larger project, and blocking your square. If you found this video useful, then please do give it a like and let me know in the comments below. Feedback is really valuable for planning future videos. My next crochet video will be on how to use the whip stitch, both to attach pieces of crochet like the square we just made, or in amigurumi. If that sounds like something you don't want to miss, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Remember to comment with your feedback because I'm really looking forward to reading it, and thank you so much for watching. I will speak with you soon.